And this man that's on your screen right now, I love the way that he plays FIFA 19 as well. You know, it's very rare that you'll see him looking at whipping crosses. He backs his ability to score goals through the center of the park, through passing plays, and through finding great finishes as well. He's kind of one of these artists that I talk about in FIFA 19. They like painting a pretty picture on their way to goal before they kind of finish it off. And certainly a player that I'm always excited to watch when we get the opportunity to commentate over Daxe. I know it's going to be something that's definitely going to be a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, he plays good FIFA, and I'm not saying that every player here plays good FIFA. Sometimes we see players play very
FIFA.
Predictable FIFA, just running down the wing, cross it, going for the back post header, yada, yada, yada. And sometimes even the best of players will resort to that because they know it can be effective. However, we all appreciate the beautiful game. That's why we like FIFA, that's why we like football, so it is nice to see when some of these players do demonstrate that. And on the other side, Jazz also knows how to play a pass or two. He will try and work his way into the box, he will look for that extra pass, and I feel like with this meta, with the fact that a lot of people will just put players in the way, sometimes you have to look for that extra pass and you have to take that risk. And that's what both of these players are going to be prepared to do.
Well, here we go then. On the Xbox side of the bracket, Daxe taking it on Jazz now. Elimination game. Both players currently sat at 2-2. And both players will obviously be wanting it to make it here to tomorrow to get into the knockout stages of the tournament. And it will be Daxe who's playing in the away PSG kit here, the white. Jazz, who's playing in the blue with the orange socks. And an early attack there for Daxe didn't really create too much of an opportunity, but you can already see getting in and around that 18-yard box, looking for those passes. And one thing that always is a standout for me with Daxe is how rarely he actually sprints when he's carrying the ball.
Yep, more than happy to just dribble it and just kind of read his opponent. Where's my opponent going to go? As soon as he sees a little bit of movement, that's when he makes his own move.
Chance here for CR7, the first shot of the game. Tests David De Gea, but doesn't beat him down at his left-hand side. Not perfectly timed green either, so meant that it was a little bit more in the range of the goalkeeper to make a comfortable save.
And by him not sprinting, by him just dribbling slowly, it encourages sometimes his opponent to sprint at him. And as soon as your opponent does start sprinting, one little drag back can beat that player, and then suddenly you've got acres of space to work with.
Well, here is Jazz then, and we saw how clinical he was against Tex back in Singapore. It was a fantastic performance from him, but every single time that you turn up to a tournament now, you're always looking to go one better.
You are. You want to improve that, and we've seen so many players this season actually do that. They'll reach a last 16 and then a quarterfinal and then a semi-final. I mean, Nicholas, for example, he went quarterfinal, semi-final, final, console final. It's
Houston.
Like, just happens.
Another
Houston as well.
example.
Another player that's done it. I mean, these players get better and better as they learn their opponents and they also learn more about themselves.
So hill to hill, excuse me, from R9 creates some space, but yep, summed it up perfectly. The noise was enough. Red times, nobody wants to see it. Apart from if you're Jazz or David De Gea.
And sometimes you just have to warm into a game and get used to the shooting, get your shooting fingers on, as it were. And it can take a little bit, just a few minutes.
Here's a chance then. Hullit's going to strike it, and that was what I was saying. You have to be on your toes here against Jazz. Likes taking those shots from distance, isn't afraid to test the goalkeeper. As Daxe gets a little bit fortunate here on the left-hand side to get the ball back, but that's what you've got to expect, and we saw him catch Tex off guard a few times. We saw him catch a few players off guard a few times. Even from the restarts, wasn't looking to work the ball into goal. As soon as he got within range, he knows the power of these Team of the Year foot items, these prime icon moments, and if you let a shot go, it really can be effective. But here comes Daxe now. The PSG man controlling the PSG man. Now Mbappe around the corner to another PSG player. Hullit now turns back. Good tackle there. Ramos, though, in an advanced position here for Daxe. Vieira, a little drag back. A little bit of space here for Hullit on the edge of the box. You can see the run from Neymar, and that's classic Daxe. Just waiting for the moment to find the player in position to shoot. Having found that player, Neymar is going to be the player who breaks the deadlock, and it's the PSG man who gets the first one on the board for the PSG player.
And what was that, like 15, 16 passes just strung together, and not committing to an attack until he really saw the opportunity, till he finally saw that little bit of space. It was kind of like playing rugby at one point. He was going from left to right, passing it back every single time until finally he could commit forward and make that run. Good stuff there from Daxe, and it means Jazz is going to have to answer back here in what is, of course, an elimination game here on the Xbox side of the bracket.
And one thing I love about Daxe is you never see any real emotion from him, whatever the game situation is. If he's down by one, if he's up by one, if he's close to being knocked out or going through to tomorrow. Very strong mental player. Make sure that he doesn't get carried away with any particular situation that he's in. And that's experience, Dan. Here's R9 then for Jazz. Beautiful cricketer past his man, and oh, he does time it green, but can't beat David De Gea. You saw the run from Ruud Gullit in front of him. Decided to take the shot on instead. Ferdinand will get that one away. Got a warning there for Daxe, showing that Jazz, as I say, has different ways to go forward than some of the players that we've seen.
Yeah, Jazz not looking to play that passing game that maybe we saw a little bit of in Singapore. He's going back to his roots of just hitting it when he sees, has a little bit of a sight on goal, and it can work. You've just got to make sure you time him right, and most importantly, you get the power right on the shot as well, because if you do time it perfectly, get the power right, it does sail into that top left-hand corner or top right-hand corner, which way you're aiming.
Here's CR7 finding Neymar. You can see there's a run around the outside here from Mbappe. Big chance here. Stop up. Maybe the finish. There is the finish. Daxe doubles his lead. And the PSG players are coming to the party here for Daxe. First it was Neymar. Now it's Mbappe. And now it's 2-0.
And Daxe, who was at 1-2 at one point in the tournament, he had his back against the wall in the previous round, but he was able to come up good against Beijot in that one, where he won 3-2. It was a very closely contested fourth round game. And now he finds himself with a comfortable lead here, I have to say. He doesn't look at all worried by Jazz and how he's going forward, and it just seems to... It's interceptions left, right, and centre, which is giving him the possibilities for counter-attacks, but then he's just slowing it down and he's building like he always does. He just looks like he's cruising at the moment.
I think cruising's a very good word for it at the moment. This performance we're seeing here from Daxe hasn't come under too much pressure so far from Jazz, but maybe that's about to change. A CR7 was looking to twist and looking to turn, but it was Neymar who was getting back there to help out defensively. Now Daxe can build from the back again, and one of the things that we talk about all the time, Dan, is when a player like Daxe has a lead and he has that possession-based game, it's so tough to get back into the game simply because you don't get the ball that often.
Yeah, he's very good at starving his opponent of possession. He isn't going to allow you to have any real time on the ball, and when you do get that time, he pressures fantastically to try and win that ball back. He doesn't allow you to play possession and get into the game.
Here's R9 then. Ramos is going to play this one to Vieira. It's a great run from him. Oh, this must be another finish. Daxe is playing some fantastic FIFA 19 here. Every single goal has been a pleasure to watch.
He is one of the names that is often brought up when I see arguments on Twitter about who plays FIFA 19 the correct way, who plays it beautifully. I always see Daxe's name tagged every single time. Because of this, he does just play a phenomenal style of FIFA. It's great to watch, it must feel good to play, but it must be horrible to play against. As Jazz was so frustrated, I think I saw him just hammer the desk there in frustration, but almost manages to get a goal back. Thankfully for Daxe, that one doesn't hit the top corner.
Almost isn't good enough when you're playing against a player of the caliber of Daxe. So 3-0 up already in this game before half-time. And there's a reason that I say he's an artist, and I'm going to name him right now the artist, because every goal that he's scoring has been a work of art so far. Tries to come forward once more then. Ronaldo gets dispossessed. Again, Daxe wins it back, this time illegally according to the referee though. And time for a little bit of a mental reset here for Jazz. We'll have the chance to go forward once more before half-time. Maybe a goal could do him the world of good here. But quite simply, I hate to say it, Dan, but Daxe has played him off the park. Yeah,
Jazz hasn't looked involved in this tie whatsoever. And it was the man that was on the ball there, Marcelo, who's done so much, both going forward and defensively.
Neymar then tries to find R9. R9 will eventually be found there in the second phase of this attack. Scoop turn around the corner. Neymar now into R9. And almost again, just pulled him apart. Once more, Daxe. And something's got to change here for Jazz in this second half. Because at the moment, there's only one man in this game.
Honestly, if I'm Jazz, I'm going to start attacking the left-hand side of the pitch. Attack the right back, rather than going down the right, because Daxe has been playing so aggressively with Marcelo. And he's been pushing up the pitch, and he's been winning the ball. And he's almost frustrated Jazz and halted any attack very early on, which has allowed Daxe to continue this domination of possession. You saw 65% in favour of Daxe, and I don't care how good you are at FIFA, if you've only got 35% of the ball, you're not going to be able to do much.
And I want to highlight something here. We're saying 65%. It hasn't been pointless possession either. No. It's been just creativity. It's been the ball is constantly moving forward when Daxe has it. He just likes involving so many players, pulling players out of position when they're defending, and it has been a pleasure to watch. But from the restart here, Jazz, can he find an early goal in this second half to get this leg back in in control a little bit, because at the moment after that first half, it's sort of running away from him.
It really is. I feel like another goal might just be too much now for Jazz. At some point, he's going to have to throw everything forward and commit to a formation which is going to leave his defense very vulnerable, and I feel like Daxe is just waiting for that so he can pounce on that opportunity. Jazz needs a goal very soon just to try and get a little bit of momentum back in his favour.
Here might be that opportunity. You can see there's runners ahead. Neymar, great tackle again though by Daxe. Ferdinand and Varane being a formidable duo in the centre-back position there for him. Marcelo now is going to be looking down the line for Mbappe. Ball roll back inside. CR7 making the run outside, but instead it's going to be Sergio Ramos who comes forward. Ramos now looking for that ball, and again, not using that sprint button at all at the moment, which makes that tight dribbling so much more difficult to mark. Jazz is having all sorts of problems here. Look at this again from Daxe. He goes for the shot at the last second. Marcelo gets in the way.
It's just quick one-touch football around the defenders, not giving time for Jazz to even think about how he wants to pressure defensively, let alone dive in and make a tackle. Really good stuff from Daxe once again. And it's just simple things like ball rolls away from the opposing defender to give him so much room to think about how he wants to approach the attack. It really is a pleasure to watch, I have to say.
Daxe comes forward once more then on the hour mark here. Vieira gets an interception, and now you're going to see Jazz flying forward. And there is a ball through to CR7 there, but as you say, a fantastic challenge. As I say that, that's a terrible back pass. Mbappe, oh, he puts it wide. A huge chance for Jazz here. And that's a let-off there for Daxe.
Yeah, that's going to just, I think, wake him up a little bit. I'm not saying he's fallen asleep, and I'm not saying that he's gone into cruise control yet, but he needs to be very careful not to make mistakes like that, because if that were to be a goal, that is a gift back into the game, and Daxe knows full well that he can't allow that to happen. He needs to press on. He needs to look for more.
Well, there's a big chance here, though. Neymar, oh, he just backed off, and you can't back off of Neymar, and you can't back off of Daxe, because he is putting on a clinic here of how to deal with pressure in a knockout game. 4-0 now.
And Jazz, for how well he played in Singapore, and we were all singing his praises there, and to be knocked out by #1 in the world. Well, Daxe, he might not be #1, but certainly has his eyes set on being #1. He could be one of those players that could topple Tex potentially in a tournament. Definitely has the ability to do so. But with whether he'll be able to achieve the heights that maybe he expects, maybe his fans expect, maybe PSG expect, that remains to be seen. Potentially this could be Daxe's tournament, who knows?
If you haven't watched Daxe before, this has been a performance that shows what he is all about. Controlling the pace of the game, surgical in his precision, artistic in the way that he creates in front of goal. And Jazz needs to come up with something special here. But at the moment, he can't even get near Daxe's box. The only real chance he's had in the game to note was from that Daxe mistake. And now Neymar, with a little bit of a shift, finds Mbappe. He tries to shift it onto that right foot to have a strike himself. Neymar might have a chance through the middle, though. He's been found, but the pace of Rafael Varane. We heard Boras talking about how much he loves that centre-back team of the year for I am Rafael Varane. You can see why there, Dan.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to have packed him myself, and yeah, he's pretty good. Untradeable, but I think I'm fine with him being in the team for the rest of the season. I think this is a clear demonstration of differences in Global Series rankings. This is one of the biggest we've seen.
Well, here's Ronaldo then inside the box. Daxe again just looking for that pass. He's so precise in the timing of his passes. Again, Jazz just can't get near him at the moment. Finally looks for that pass in behind, but will be intercepted.
And back to my previous point, Daxe 10th at the moment in the Global Series rankings, whereas we see Jazz all the way down in 36th. Of course, he did jump quite considerably after his performance in Singapore. He secured quite a lot of Global Series ranking points there. And the fact that we were saying beforehand that him and Tex, we didn't really see that difference between #1 and where he was lying at the time around top 90 or whatever, whereas Daxe really demonstrating that he is just a class above at the moment. In my honest opinion, it looks like men against boys right now.
I'd have to agree with you at this stage, but as we know, things can change very quickly in a leg of FIFA. Whatever Daxe has done in this leg, a player of the caliber of Jazz can turn it around. We saw it already from Lost in the Waves earlier. We left a game where we thought it was pretty much done and dusted, and then it went right down to the wire. But Daxe has just looked fully in control of this game, and now Ramos is going to find Cristiano Ronaldo. Looking for a fifth as we approach the last 10 minutes of our first leg. Great passing play again. Look at this from Daxe. Oh, it was just the goalkeeper movement. A shimmy to the side there for Jazz that kept him in that. But again, Daxe is just like a predator playing with his prey at the moment. Eusebio trying to get around the outside. Ooh, rash tackle there as well. Almost conceded a penalty, and you can kind of see that maybe Jazz's head has started to go at the end of this first leg here.
And Daxe will still want to be pressing on. He'll still want to be getting a fifth goal, a sixth goal, because we know in FIFA 19 it can very much vary from game to game. A player can have a terrible game, like, I'm not saying Jazz is having a terrible game, but he doesn't look at his best. He might just suddenly switch on in the next game. He might come alive, and then we might see him getting 2 or 3 goals, and then suddenly Daxe is under a little bit of pressure. So you can see Daxe still pressing, still wants more, because we have seen very high goal-scoring games in the past. You've got to be aware of that.
Oh, there's a run outside from Ruud Gullit here. It's 1-on-1 once more. Tries to overplay maybe around the edge of Marcelo. Marcelo being shown that little bit of the ball there, decided he was going to put an end to that. And again, another scary moment there for Jazz. Eusebio now away for Daxe. Look at the run outside of him. Vieira decides to go to the other way. And this is what I love about Daxe. Even though it's simple passing plays, it's still unpredictable in the way that he moves the ball around the pitch.
And it's one of the best ways to play FIFA, is to be unpredictable. As soon as your opponent gets a good read on you, they're going to have the upper hand.
Eusebio inside the box now, puts it across the box, and there is the fifth. Again, Daxe just cannot be touched when he is inside that 18-yard box. This is one of the best performances I've seen in a while from the PSG man. And it's been PSG happy. Mbappe on the score sheet once more.
It's Daxe when he's at his best. It's when his opponent is kind of pressuring, maybe holding down that A button, maybe using RB as well, and really sucking those players towards the attacker. Daxe takes full advantage of that by pressing pass in very quick time, and it just means that the opposition player in Jazz is going to really struggle to keep up with that, and it gives Daxe the abilities and the freedom to play the game how he wants, to play that quick passing style, and it's really worked out here.
And you can see headset straight off, nice and relaxed there from Daxe. We can't talk about enough about how solid of a performance that was from him. Every single goal that he just scored there was a thing of beauty. You have to say, the way that he took Jazz apart, and you can see, I mean, Jazz is thinking, what do I do here? How do I match up against someone who is playing this well? Because as we just mentioned, I think that might be one of the best performances we've seen from Daxe in a tournament in a while.
Sometimes you just get a clash of playstyles where one person's playstyle just dominates the others, and that is what is happening here. And for Jazz, it's not easy for him to just suddenly change how he plays the game of FIFA, to change how he defends, because it's not working out for him. It maybe has to be a formation change. Maybe he needs to find something really attacking to try and get into Daxe's half, but if he does that, he's going to leave himself so vulnerable at the back, and Daxe is going to take full advantage of that as well. So I feel like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
I feel at this point it's kind of irrelevant. He has to go forward. He's got to get 5-6 goals on the board. He's got to get 6 to give himself a chance of winning this game. And, you know, if you concede another one here, if you concede 4 more, I mean, what's the difference? You know, it doesn't matter. You've got to go at Daxe in this second half. I'd like to see him almost just go with the 3 at the back from the start.
Go 3-5-2.
3-5-2.
And
3-4-3.
And just hope that maybe he can really find some sort of overdrive here, find a next level, because he's looked so different to what we saw in Singapore. And what maybe can come into it, and I guess I haven't mentioned this, and perhaps I should have, is jet lag. I mean, he is from Australia, and when we were over in Singapore, we were talking about how some of the players from this region were struggling in that region. It's exactly the same coming the other way as well. Time difference, maybe a little bit tired, who knows? Either way, Jazz doesn't look the same player we saw in Singapore.
That's very, very true, but he's coming up against a player who is looking very much like himself at the moment in Daxe. And I mean, Daxe is one of those players sometimes that he's a little bit of an enigma as well. You know, you look at the way that he's played in that first leg there, and you're like, how is he in an elimination game if he's playing that kind of FIFA? And it's sometimes just games, you know, he will match up against a player who can play against his style of play.
Yep.
And it's the same way that we're saying Jazz is on the receiving end of a Daxe masterclass here. Sometimes Daxe can struggle to adjust his game when he needs to.
And it's very easy to say, oh, well, they could change formation and maybe that will work. Well, a formation change doesn't always do it. It's sometimes down to adapting in the actual game. It's one of the things where I was praising Stefano Pina earlier on in the day, in that in a game where he was struggling, he just changed how he was going to approach the game. Instead of going down the left, he started going down the right. As a very simple example, Jazz needs to find that little tweak to get him back into this. Actually, no, sorry. He needs to find a major tweak.
It's a major tweak that is needed right now from Jazz. And again, it's certainly got an uphill battle here. And you are seeing an early formation change again. He gets a little bit lucky there because the fullback was in all sorts of space. And I think it might be the 4-3-3. And this might be the start that Jazz needs. Cristiano Ronaldo with the scoop turn, the heel-to-heel, drives it back. Perfect start for Jazz. There's one.
De Gea can't quite keep it out. Maybe a little bit fortunate, but the fact that Jazz had worked it into that position, you could argue he deserved it anyway. And I'm sure that Daxe won't be too worried, but it's always going to start to play in the back of your head of, well, what if I throw this away? And that's where mentality does come into it. But a player like Daxe, I'm sure, will be more than comfortable with dealing with this kind of scenario.
Yeah, we have to put it into perspective. You know, it's 1-0 to Jazz in this second leg, but still 5-1 on aggregate here to Daxe. As he now goes down the line. De Gea's going to send this one long upfield, looking for the head of CR7, and he finds him. Vieira, though, snaps into the tackle, and this is the thing. Jazz is going to be committing players forward. He has to. He is going to leave space at the back. It's about if he can manage that, if he can kind of keep the chances down to not high percentage chances, but with the likes of Daxe and the way he likes to work the ball inside the box, that's easier said than done. Oh, De Gea has to scramble across his line there. Sends it back upfield, and it looks like he's looking to utilise that long ball into CR7.
Yeah, he really just wants to get up the pitch as quick as possible, because even though we're praising how well Daxe is going forward, defensively he's looked solid as well, pressuring with his fullbacks, stepping up with his centre-backs at the right time, and it's made it very difficult for Jazz to find opportunities.
Here's Cristiano Ronaldo, then the ball roll back inside will allow Daxe to introduce other players into this attack. Ronaldo then back to Ramos. Again, just baiting the pass before turning, changing his body shape, and now R9 inside the box. Important last-second tackle there. And now Jazz, you can see, this is what I mean. Sometimes you play against a player who's so possession-based, who doesn't give you the ball, then when you do get it back, you rush your attack, and before you know it, another 10 minutes you have to focus.
And he probably feels like he has to rush it though, Mark, because he is that far behind in terms of goals, but he also needs to look at how quickly Daxe was able to score those 5 goals, so he can work it a little bit. He doesn't want to just throw it out and give the ball away, because that's almost wasting more time than if he were to just play a slow build-up himself. So he does need to be careful there.
Here's Daxe then, looking to restore the 5-goal lead after the early goal here from Jazz. The little back heel almost found its man. R9 looking to squeeze it through. There's a lot of players committed forward here for Daxe. But that little slowdown in play is just going to allow players to get back in position. And not only that, it's going to allow Ruud Gullit to step in and do what he does best, and that's win the ball back in the middle of the park. Here's Vieira then. R9 round the corner. Neymar with a chance. Neymar with a finish. And there is the 5-goal cushion restored. And again, it's so difficult to defend when Daxe is in this mood.
It's difficult to defend as well when you've committed a very aggressive formation. I think it looks like there's 3 at the back, to be honest. And that is going to allow space for Daxe's attackers to make those runs, but it's still about being clinical. Even when you do face up against a player who's getting aggressive, it's not easy to score against them. And Jazz has it all to do once again. And it really just has been a masterclass here from Daxe. And yes, okay, it's all well and good performing like this against a lower player, and I say lower in a very polite fashion because Jazz has performed phenomenally as of late. However, it's whether Daxe can perform like this against some of the top-tier players.
Look at this move again, though. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to win the free kick, and you can just see so many players are having to be pulled out of position here by Jazz to try and win that ball back. Laid off here to Mbappe. Chance to strike! De Gea gets in behind that. Now it's a corner to Daxe, excuse me. Jazz is going to be defending this one. Neymar flicks it up. Still looking for a little short pass there. R9 turning. Little drag backs here on the edge of the box from Daxe. Finds Mbappe now. Another drag back, another scoop turn. Vieira has to step in and tidy up where those around him could not.
For Jazz now, it's almost about just saving face here, trying to get a respectable score line. I think he knows at this point he's not really in a competitive state against Daxe, so it's just about trying to find something to go out with a bang. It is an elimination game. Both of these players are 2-2. Jazz does get eliminated if he loses, and Daxe will go through to tomorrow. And I think that Jazz will be disappointed with that, especially after the heights of Singapore and how well he performed and the fact that he went out to #1 player in the world. He probably thought he'd be able to come to this tournament and do something similar, get into the quarterfinals, semi-finals, etc. So it has been a disappointing end for him.
Well, here's Ramos then for Daxe. He's looking to add to the misery here for Jazz. Ramos is the one turning inside the box. Well defended by Jazz, trying to keep that pressure on, but look, you just can't get the ball off of Daxe in certain situations. He's so good at positioning his player model between the ball and the defender, much like real life. You get your body between the ball and the defender, it's so much more difficult to win that ball back, but Jazz does well. Now he's coming forward. A goal before half-time here, and who knows what could happen, but Daxe again with a good tackle. Rudhullit's been superb in the centre of park for him.
And it is always a who knows, and in most scenarios like this, I would always give credit to the player who is behind and say that they've always got a chance.
Beautiful stuff here from CR7. Neymar with a chance!
However, going up against a player like Daxe is that he's just controlling the game so much that he's just starving Jazz of any sort of attacks. And it just makes me feel like he's not going to be able to find 5 goals. And it's a shame to say that, with still another 45 minutes to play in this second leg.
Daxe with the beautiful stuff here from Neymar towards the back post. Over the bar. But I love what we saw from Neymar there from Daxe. Beautiful use of that active first touch system and the little flick over the defender's head he was committing. That's what I mean. Sometimes Daxe looks like he's playing with his food.
He is. He's going to start putting on a show now, I feel. If he feels comfortable, that's when he starts to bring out a little bit of something. We've seen several players do that, though. I think you do take the time to try new things. It's not just showing off, but it's about trying different things and seeing how they work in a competitive environment.
Oh, this is just, I mean, a masterclass.
Oh my.
I've got nothing else to say about that goal. I can't describe it any better than what everyone here and everyone at home has just seen. It was simply perfect FIFA 19 there from Daxe.
To put it simply, Jazz was peas, now he is mushy peas, and Daxe has just been hammering his fork into it constantly for the past 130 minutes or how much we've seen so far. Incredible stuff from Daxe. I just really want to see this transition into tomorrow. And maybe it's a shame that he's not going to play again till tomorrow, because if he was playing against one of the top players after this performance, he might do exactly the same, but he goes home, he resets. He just needs to bring this same play style tomorrow and hope that it works against some of the best.
So 2-1 in this game, but the aggregate score is the one that is out of hand at the moment. I mean, what else can we say about the way that Daxe is playing here? It has been superb. You know, I think one of my favorite things that when I was growing up I heard from a commentator was sometimes if something happens in front of you, you can't say anything better, then don't say anything at all. There was almost a point there where I was just stood there just watching what was happening going, I don't need to say anything because Daxe's play is speaking for itself.
I mean, we could attempt to not talk for 45 minutes. However, I don't think that we'd be earning our money, so I'm not sure it would be allowed. However, for Jazz, I mean, I just want to see something a little bit different. But the trouble is he's being completely shut out of the game, that he can't play the way he wants to play FIFA.
I think you kind of have to see this as a standalone game here for Jazz, to be honest with you. He's 2-1 down at the moment. If you can win this, you found a way to beat Daxe, and I think you kind of learn that lesson. That's what we talk about, tournament experience, and you know, putting yourself in situations you wouldn't have been to before, so that next time when you match up against a player, you have that in the memory banks of how to beat that player. But Daxe again, he's going to be coming forward here. Neymar with the cricketer.
I think you're completely right, actually, and I hope that Jazz looks at it that way. If he has accepted defeat, if he has accepted he's not going to be able to get back into this game, which some players wouldn't, some players would still hope that they are going to be able to achieve something in this game. If he learns something, then that's going to be very important. All of the best players will always learn something from their defeat. Jazz has a decent amount of Global Series ranking points that we should see him at playoffs, all going well. And maybe he'll come back stronger the next time we see him.
Well, here's Hullet on the edge of the box here, drag back after the scoop turn again though. Who is the man making the tackles in the midfield there for Daxe? It's Ruud Hullet. Again, that prime icon.
Do we think there could be any new icons in another FIFA that would ever stop this Vieira-Hullet combo, though? That's what I'm really wondering. Is there anyone we could truly bring in?
Edu.
All right,
I'm not biased.
No ex-Arsenal players.
Okay.
We've already got Vieira in there. Be happy.
Not. No.
Let's try and replace Hullet. We can leave Vieira in there. It's fine.
A 76 rated Edu. Ronaldo then down the right-hand side for Jazz. Inside the box now, Neymar, maybe with a chance to salvage something. I'm not saying it anymore. Ruud Hullet has just been absolutely monstrous in there.
If there was one player that I could build my personal ultimate team around, it would be Hullet, because he has a little bit of everything. It's not just defensive ability, it's not just his passing, he's got shooting as well.
Speaking of shooting, a chance here for Daxe. The ball roll inside. Look for a few extra step overs and gets the penalty. I think he was kind of looking to showboat maybe a little bit there and kind of bought the penalty there from Jazz, but he does have the chance to make it 3-1 in this game and 8-1 on aggregate now. Van Dijk, the player who brought the player down in the box. Who's he going to use? De Gea?
Oh, we thought about it.
He gave it some serious thinking time. Patrick Vieira sticks with R9. The Brazilian then steps up.
Oh, well, he tried to show a little bit of something.
Well played, Jazz. Smile on his face as well. Small wins.
There's only really one way you could show off in a penalty.
Even Daxe has a little smirk on his face at the moment, I just saw there. I think he knows.
We see it in real life so much as well. When a game is won, we'll see someone try and attempt it.
Free kick here for Jazz then. Goes direct! Oh. I'll tell you what, that set piece was certainly more impressive than the other one was. But now, looking to go up the other end is Daxe. Neymar, he's been absolutely electric so far for Daxe. Hullet now joins the attack. Neymar again into R9. Quick passing in and around the box once more. Close dribbling, just so good to watch here. And look at this, Hullet's got all the time in the world. Again, Daxe showing us how to play this game.
Stop. He's already dead. It's a tough one to swallow, a tough pill to swallow for Jazz, I'm sure. And at this point, I imagine he's probably gone into autopilot with his defending, and Daxe taking full advantage of that. And the Hullet bullet, he strikes. What a performance it's been from Daxe. And still 20 minutes to play. How many do you reckon he can get? Do you reckon we can get the double figures?
It's something I certainly don't want to think about. And Jazz looking to score from the restart here. Ronaldo tries to get around the corner, but you can just see, even with that little bit of play there from Jazz, a little bit of lack of confidence going forward. Wasn't 100% sure what he wanted to do, even though he sort of isolated that defender. And then Daxe is just ripping him apart once more. It's Mbappe, pretty much clean through. Van Dijk tries to stop him. That's an unorthodox way, but it is effective here.
And maybe we are looking at one of the favourites for the Xbox side of the bracket.
I agree.
In Daxe, we asked who's going to step up, with Tex being not attending the tournament, not competing. Of course, MS Dasari is going to be up there as the favourite, but it's about who's going to go up against him.
Look at the space here for Mbappe. Sorry to cut you off here, Dan. Ramos puts an end to that, however, but Marcelo picks it up once more. R9, who's looking to flick it up again. You know that Daxe is looking for something special.
And I believe I think Richard Buckley was telling me he was having a chat with Dasari and was asking him, like, how do you feel about Xbox with Tex not being, who's your main competition?
Oh, Neymar's in on goal again. Oh, he forces the save from De Gea, but again, a little back heel from Daxe. Just great to watch.
Sorry, I was just checking if there was going to be any more action there.
No, you're good, you're good. We got a little bit of a break here. You can continue.
Dasari pointed straight at Daxe and just said, he is my main competition. No, anyone else that he was worried about. He just knows that Daxe is who he's going to have to take down. And of course, it may not be the console final that we dream of. They might face earlier in a semi-final, in a quarter-final. So they have to be well aware that they could have to take the hardest challenge early on in the
Oh,
competition.
look at the space here again. Cristiano Ronaldo with a chance for another one here for Daxe. Drag backs, he's got it all. I want to say he's overplaying it, but at this point, you've earned the right to overplay it, to be honest, Daxe. Varane steps in, picks the ball up, gives the ball away to Vieira. Is there going to be something in here for Jazz to take away from this game? Is there going to be a little bit of celebration for him towards the end of this game? Hullit's in on goal, and there it is! A consolation at least for Jazz. Gets Hullit in on goal. Times the finish green, beats the goalkeeper. One down in this game. Unfortunately for him, he's still 6 down on aggregate.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously far too late, and it was far too late probably maybe 60 minutes ago in game for him to find this goal. However, he can try and dissect that. It's more analysis that he can look at, as I'm sure most of the players will go over their gameplay and they'll have a look at where they went wrong and what went right. And of course, it'll be hard for him to judge going forward because I imagine Daxe isn't trying as hard at this stage. And there we go. It's just simple. It doesn't matter if he's trying hard or if he's hardly trying. He still finds goals.
It looks so effortless, doesn't it, from Daxe, the way that he goes forward. I think it is because he doesn't use that sprint button moving forward very often. It's all close dribbling, slowly moving up the pitch, twisting and turning. And it just looks like there's so many more players free in dangerous areas for him when he goes forward. It really has just been a special performance, this, from Daxe.
And I'm wondering if we take Dasari out of the equation, and arguably Daxe is definitely up there as being, well, he is the second seed in terms of Xbox side of the bracket. Could he beat the best PS4 players? As there's another penalty, and who better than Sergio Ramos to do it? I wish there was a stat on how many penalties Ramos had given away over these past few tournaments.
You're the stat man. That's on you.
I can't count everything, Mark.
Get back through the VODs, Dan.
Okay.
Next tournament. No, tomorrow. I want that down. Right, we saw what happened last time. Daxe went for the cheeky dink down the middle. Is he going to go for it again? No, but he's not going to find the back of the net. Jazz cannot be beaten from the spot.
Just take the small victories. At least he hasn't conceded a penalty against Daxe, so that's somewhat of a positive. But ultimately, we have to look at this game and we have to look at the incredible performance from Daxe. How well he performed and the ability that he showed in that game was phenomenal. But hopefully, he can carry that on to tomorrow. He moves on, but unfortunately for Jazz, he is eliminated from the competition.
Yeah, and Daxe, as you say, will move on to tomorrow. He'll be in the knockout bracket. And with a performance like that, he's certainly going to be looking forward to getting back behind the controller tomorrow.